Good morning. Performance budgeting. The concept of performance budgeting was recognized as a formal management process in the late 60s of the last century, when the Department of Defense of USA, as part of an effort to reduce time and cost overruns, issued a set of criteria defining standards for management control systems. These criteria define the capabilities that effective management control system must possess. Canarley and Neri state that a performance measurement system has three constituent parts: individual measures that quantify the efficiency and effectiveness of actions, a set of measures that combine to assess the performance of an organization as a whole, a supporting infrastructure that enables data to be acquired, collected, sorted, analyzed, interpreted, and disseminated. Performance measurement is a tool to help managers control the results of their organizations. Framework for performance measurement system. Purpose. Performance measurement is a value adding process which has a direct impact on the competitiveness and improvement, but at the same time, cost benefit has to be evaluated when developing a metrics to measure performance. A clear, unambiguous, and well defined purpose makes it easier to choose the right metrics. Metrics are the methods to quantify the measured information. A clear purpose helps to choose the right kind of metrics. And number two, prioritize indicators. Measurements are expensive and time consuming. A clear purpose helps to prioritize the indicators to identify the most important ones. Types of metrics. Metrics are the building blocks in a measurement system. A matrix is the specific method to quantify the information regarding the variable which is intended to be measured. Hard versus soft metrics. Hard metrics are pure facts that are possible to measure directly. For example, input, productivity, are used to measure the intangible, for example, customer satisfaction, brand loyalty, employee satisfaction, etc. Both hard and soft metrics have their strengths and weaknesses and should be used according to the purpose of reference. Requirement for a performance measure system. Establishing and updating performance measures, establishing accountability for performance, gathering and analyzing performance data, reporting and using performance information, underlying processes are ignored, single performance indicators fail to link with a strategic plan, and single performance indicators are able to measure only one aspect of business performance. Now let us answer the question which we had raised in the beginning or in the last counseling session, how to identify the performance indicator variables. The variables which we want to measure and monitor are those that are related to the goals and objectives of the firm and are also linked to the strategic objective of the firm. They must be identified at each level and for each responsibility center of the organization. Here lies the catch 22 situation. The decision which one has to take is about inclusion and exclusions of variables from the measurement framework. The common mistake which managers do is to include the variables which are highly visible or stressed upon and exclude those variables which are not so visible but nevertheless important in meeting organizations' strategic goals. Managers in general tend to include those variables which are measurable and exclude those variables which are difficult to measure. An example of this type of measurement is the firms which lay a lot of emphasis on short run profitability, which leads managers to cut on expenses related to market development, research and development, maintenance, employee training and development. In the short run, this will result in high profitability, but in the long run, it will result in non fulfillment of strategic objectives. Key success factors. The hierarchical structure of an organization is a response to the limited information processing ability of the decision makers. The firm uses responsibility center in an attempt to coordinate and control each subunit in pursuance of overall goals. Responsibility centers are designed upon key success factors of a business. Each responsibility center derives its goals from overall organization's goals, and the degree of goal congruence will depend upon the control structure and the efficiency of responsibility centers managers. Individual managers have cognitive limitations which constrain their data processing ability. This limitations gives rise to the process of selective perception of data, which implies that manager focuses upon those data that seems to be important to meet the objectives. The measures so selected become the basis for reports or sensors, which are in turn the basis upon which the manager interprets the environment facing the responsibility center. These identified variables then become the basis for decision making and are referred to as key variables or key success factors. It is necessary to establish key variables for responsibility centers because they in turn become the basis for establishment of performance measures, responsibility center designations, reward structures, and resource allocation procedures. Now, the next part of today's counseling, reward and compensation. Enterprise employees are happier with good compensation plans, which are well administered. They will have a salutary effect on their entire work, cooperation, and loyalty is high. Amount of output is up and quality is better. There are three requisites of a sound compensation structure. Number one, it should be internally equitable. Number two, it should be extremely competitive with the other organizations. And it should pay individuals on the basis of their performance. The first and third, they are interrelated. If it is equitable, then it is equitable to the organization as well as to the employee. And this is possible only when the individuals are paid on the basis of their performance. Characteristics of incentive plans. A manager's total compensation consists of three components. Number one, a predetermined fixed salary with regular increments over a period of time. Or you may say, at least this is the minimum amount, at least the manager will be paid this amount. Number two, benefits which include health cover for self and family, pension schemes, and other packages of various types. And third one, incentive compensation for better work for the performance. These three components are interrelated, but the third component is specifically related to the management control system. Short-term incentive plans. These systems may be broadly classified into three categories. Systems under which the rate of extra incentive is in proportion to the extra output, or you may say piecemeal system. Number two, system under which the extra incentive is proportionately at a lower rate than the increase in output, and the balance is actually retained by the organization. And number three, systems under which the rate of incentive is proportionately higher than the rate of increase in output. Actually, this is the best incentive plan. Some important short-term incentive plan. Halsey premium plan. Halsey wear premium plan. Rowan premium plan. The 100% premium plan. Bidox point plan. Taylor's differential piece rate plan. Metric multiple piece rate plan. Net task plan. Immersion efficiency plan. Co-partnership system. Accelerating premium system, and profit sharing. We will discuss it in some other course. Long-term incentive plans. Long-term incentive awards are based on performance measured over a period greater than 1 year. Some of the long-term incentive plans are discussed below. Stock option. Under this plan, a manager is given a right to buy a specified number of shares at or after given date in the future, which is known as exercise date, at a price agreed upon at the time the option is granted. This price is usually the prevailing market price. Means the employee is given, the manager is given option to buy a certain number of shares of the organization after a given date on the exercise date at the price which is agreed upon. Number two, phantom shares. Under this plan, the managers are allotted shares, notional shares, for bookkeeping purpose only. At the end of the specified period, the manager receives an award equal to the appreciation in the market value of shares since allotment. This award may be in cash, in shares, or a mix of both. Means actually the manager is not given the face value of shares. They are only given the appreciation in the value of share. Number three, stock appreciation rights. Under this plan, the manager is entitled to receive cash payment based on the increase in value of the stock from the time of award until a specified future date. Number four, performance shares. Under this plan, the are awarded a specified number of shares when specific long-term goals have been met. If the goals are not met, these shares will not be allotted. And performance units. In performance unit plan, a cash bonus is paid on achieving specific long-term targets. Now, techniques of management and management control. TQM, Total Quality Management. TQM seeks to increase customer satisfaction by finding the factors that limit performance. The practice of TQM in a manufacturing environment has produced tangible improvements in efficiency and profitability as a result of many small improvements. On the shop floor, quality concepts have been based around the involvement of employees and an approach according to which each worker sees the next person on the assembly line as their customer. The applications of quality concepts to service areas require a similar approach, necessitating a focus on customer requirement. The customers are the receivers of a product whose satisfaction is determined by the usefulness of the product. And for this usefulness, there is total quality management. Means there should not be any loss in the quality, and customers must get the product which is according to his need and so that he may be satisfied. It is generally believed that TQM is exclusively meant for manufacturing sector. But the reality is that this concept is of universal applicability and can be applied very comfortably in service sector as well. Let us first understand what is quality. A quality product or a service is the one which has the following it attributes: systematic, conformity with the standards, zero defects, cost saving, customer satisfaction, safety and reliability. Business process re-engineering. Re-engineering is often compared to total quality management. Some people have said that the two are in fact the same, while others have been argued that they are incompatible. Michael Hammer says that the two concepts are compatible and actually complement one another. Both concepts are centered on a customer focus. Concepts of teamwork, worker participation, and empowerment, cross functionality, process analysis and measurement, supplier involvement, and benchmarking are significant contributions from quality management. In addition, quality management in an era of extensive functionalization of business has re-emphasized the need for a total view of the organization. Quality management has also influenced company culture and values by exposing organizations to the need for change. Enterprise resource planning. Enterprise resource planning, ERP, is the latest high-end solution which information technology has lent to business application. The ERP solutions seek to streamline and integrate operation processes and information flows in the company to summarize the resources of an organization, namely men, material, money, and machine, which are normally known as 4Ms through information. Meaning of ERP: enterprise resource planning software, or enterprise resource planning attempts to integrate all departments and functions across a company into a single computer system that can serve all those different departments' particular needs. In fact, ERP combines all computerized departments together with the help of a single integrated software program that runs on a single database so that various departments can easily share information and communicate with each other. Value added analysis. Activities can be classified as value added or non value added, or as efficient or inefficient. This discussion requires an important qualification. To this point, we have considered only the customer's perspective in classifying activities. We must be careful when we are classifying activities to recall that other stakeholders also define constants that organization must meet, and then some activities may reflect some of the constants defined by other stakeholders. Program and performance budgeting. Conventional system of budgeting essentially involve target fixation from the top to next level middle management to the grassroots. The main shortcoming of this system was lack of involvement of grassroots level managers who are really responsible for business because they were simply delegated the targets. This system was gradually replaced by zero-based budgeting, which also suffered from serious limitations. Number one, zero-based budgeting involves huge cost. Number two, the identification of decision units create numerous problems for the organization. Number three, the zero-based budgeting system requires expertise and continuous training by the executives. Hence, it is time-consuming and takes long time to deliver results. And number four, the annual or periodical reviews of the programs become a dry ritual with passage of times, hence ineffective in delivering result. Above limitations of top to bottom budgeting or zero-based budgeting gave place to more result-oriented system of program budgeting and performance budgeting (PPB). Program budgeting. A program budgeting is a budgetary system tailored to meet the requirements of government departments and non-profit institutions that focuses upon the output of the organization rather than on specific inputs. According to David Novak, program budgeting is the sum of the steps of interdependent activities which enter into the attainment of a specified objectives. Such an approach to budgeting attempts to bridge the gap between the planning activities of the organization and the budget processes. Agency theory framework. An agency relationship exists whenever one party hires another party, or you may say principal agent relationship, to perform some services, and in so the authority for decision making is delegated to the agent. In a corporate setting, the chief executive officer is the agent of shareholders, and similarly, Business unit managers are the agents of CEO or Chief Executive Officer. Here, the question which gets predominance is how to motivate the agents to act in a way as if they were the principals. One of the key elements of agency theory is that the principal and agents have divergent preference or objective. Management by objective, MBO. MBO is a comprehensive management approach focusing on objectives or expected results for providing a framework for organizational and managerial decisions. Although objectives provide the focal point, the thrust in MBO is on management. The emphasis in MBO is that the objectives should be the central focus in the management process. MBO begins by defining objectives and then uses these statements as criteria to judge the quality of activity, behavior, and the adequacy of inputs or resources. Agreement on objective precedes activity planning and resource allocation. In other words, once the objectives are clearly established in terms of outputs or expected results, the resources and the processes must be geared towards attaining these objectives. MBO emphasizes the development systems capability as well as an individual measures competence and motivation for performance improvement in the short and long term. Activity based costing. ABC or activity based costing is an accounting methodology that assigns the cost direct to various products and services on some scientific basis. In order to correctly associate cost with products and services, ABC assign cost to activity based on their use of resources. It then assigns cost to cost objects such as products or customers based on their use of activities. ABC can track the flow of activities in organization by creating a link between the activity, resource consumption, and the cost object. The flow is characterized through four core areas: cost object, cost drivers, resource cost drivers, activity cost drivers. In order to understand how ABC operates, it is necessary to understand the meaning of above terms. Cost object. It is an item for which cost measurement is required, namely a product or a customer. A cost driver is a factor that causes a change in the cost of an activity. There are two categories of cost driver: resource cost driver and activity cost driver. A resource cost driver is a measure of the quantity of resource consumed by an activity. It is used to assign the cost of a resource to an activity or an activity cost driver is a measure of the frequency and intensity of demand placed on activities by cost objects. It is used to assign activity cost to cost objects. Now, the next part of counseling, management control in some special organizations. First of all, service organizations. In the 19th century and up to the mid of 20th century, the workforce in India was predominantly engaged in agriculture. In the latter part of 20th century, the composition of workforce changed and the employment in the service sector overtook the employment in the manufacturing sector. GDP is contributed by the service sector. During recent years, we have witnessed a rapid growth in the service sectors, the underlying reasons being increase in literacy level, increasing level of disposable income, revolutionary change in technology, increased means of communication, increased mobility, increased level of outsourcing activities, and change in the lifestyle pattern. First of all, financial service organizations. The Indian financial system, comprising of commercial banks, financial institutions, insurance companies, and the capital markets, has undergone a very rapid transition during last 1.5 decade. In broader terms, the transition has been towards autonomy of these financial institutions and broadening the ownership. First of all, banks. Management control implication. If bank branches are treated as profit centers, one needs to look at the following issues. Number one, relationship between rate and maturities of deposits to the rate and maturities of loans. There should be a balance between them. If deposit matures early than the loans, then there will not be sufficient liquidity with the branch. Deposit volume, loan losses, expenses, joint revenue, and transfer prices. Transfer prices we have discussed in the last counseling session. Risk characteristics of bank. Risk has always been present in the banking system, but in recent years, the management of risk has gained prominence due to following factors. Number one, growing deregulation of the local and then with the world markets. Number two, growing diversity in banking operations. Lending and deposit taking are the main functions of a bank. But in recent, the banks have diversified their activities into derivatives, trading securities, underwriting, and corporate advisory service. Some banks have expanded their traditional credit product to include asset securitization and credit derivatives, while others have forced into transaction processing, custodial services, or assets management business and venture capital funding. With the advancement of information technology, more and more banks are venturing into online platforms providing of bill presentation and payment services. All these developments points toward banks have management systems that are rigorous and comprehensive. Now, insurance companies. There are two types of insurance companies: life insurance, general insurance. A life insurance company is concerned with insuring the life of human beings. Two types of policies are offered by the life insurance companies, which are whole life and term insurance policies. General insurance is concerned with the insurance of property and physical assets. A general insurance company collects premiums, invests them, and makes payment to the policyholder for specific losses. Management control implications. The central management control problem in insurance companies, especially life insurance companies, is that poor estimation of policy sales can't be estimated until years later. They set premiums based on their best estimates of inflows and outflows associated with the policy. The profit of any policy can't be known until the maturity of the policy and settlement of the final claims. But management can't wait that long to make controlled decisions. Due to the nature of insurance business, the profits can't be taken as yardstick for measurement of performance for current business. Therefore, for control purposes, insurance managers give more attention to expense control and product pricing. Mutual funds. A mutual fund is a vehicle of investment in capital market and other short market instruments for investors. Frank K. Raleigh has defined mutual fund an investment company is a pool of funds belonging to many individuals that is used to acquire a collection of individual investments such as stock, bonds, other publicly traded securities. Management control system for mutual funds. The overall activities of mutual funds can be categorized under the following heads. Number one, fund management. Number two, operations. Number three, customer service. Number four, sales and marketing. Management control system for each of these activities will span across three dimensions: procedures, systems, and organizations. The management control system is basically concerned with the reduction of risk, compliance, and overseeing that the regulatory requirements are met. The policies and procedure documents should build a framework of the fund and should contain investment policy including risk philosophy, operating procedure, compliance manual, code of conduct, disaster recovery and business contingency plan and reporting framework. Non-profit organization. A non-profit organization is defined as an organization which cannot distribute assets or income to or for the benefit of its members, officers, or directors. However, this does non-profit organizations are not prohibited from making profits, but are prohibited from distribution of profits. It needs to earn moderate profits on an average to provide for working capital and capital expenditure. Management control system. The management control system for non-profit organizations focused on product pricing. In case of non-profit organizations, the motive is not to earn profit, but to engage in welfare activities which are beneficial to the society as a whole. This leads to pricing of services and products below cost at subsidized rates. This approach may, however, lead to inefficiency and waste. Therefore, pricing of services and products at full cost is desirable. Strategic planning and budget preparations. Since the resources of non-profit organizations are severely limited, the process of strategic planning should chart a framework for allocation of limited resources to worthwhile activities. Operation and evaluation. In most of the non-profit organizations, the optimum operating cost can be predicted, which leads to spending of the budgeted amount without taking into consideration the merit and demerit of the activities. Similarly, the activities which can lead to excellent payoffs are not executed due to non-inclusion of the same in the budget. Though non-profit organizations have a bad reputation of operating inefficiency, this perception is changing gradually. The underlying reason for the same has been this has led to increased attention to the management control. Next part, multinational and export organization. In the context of international business, we hear words like global corporations, international corporations, and multinational corporations. While in general, these terms may be interchangeable, they represent two extremes fail somewhere between these two. In a global corporation, production facilities are generally centralized and located in one or a few countries to get the advantage of the economy of scale and cost. The products are exported from these countries to others depending on demand. On the other hand, in a multinational corporation, production facilities are generally located separately in each country, and each country's operations are organized almost totally independently. However, within such independence, there is always multinational and export organizations. A need for integrating the operations of local subsidiaries with a view to achieve overall the parent company. This optimality may be in terms of economy, monetary repatriations, growth, surplus, etc. Transfer pricing. Though we have discussed transfer pricing in the last counseling session, but again we are discussing some important points here. Transfer pricing of goods, services, and technology represents one of the major differences between management control of domestic and overseas operations. Multinationals, apart from normal consideration of transfer pricing, several other considerations are in deciding the transfer price. Please discuss below. Taxation. Income tax rates vary among different countries. A transfer price system that results in saving of aggregate income is followed. Companies operating in countries having high income tax rates will transfer goods and services at cost price, thus resulting in zero profit or reduction profit and consequently no taxes or less amount of taxes. Transfer pricing mechanism is designed in such a way that maximum amount of profit accrues to companies operating in low income tax countries. Number two, government regulations. Given a choice, the companies may like to follow a model of transfer pricing in such a fashion that it will minimize taxable income in the countries with high income tax rates. However, government and tax authorities are aware of these methods and have passed legislation to curb these type of practices. Number three, tariffs. High tariffs of the important importing company will force the exporting company to set the transfer price at lower level to offset the incidence of high tariff. But this will result in high profit for the promoting company. But for the exporting company, low price and consequently low tariff would result into higher profit and higher income. The net effect of these two factors has to be considered while fixing transfer prices. Foreign exchange control. Most of the developing countries exercise foreign exchange control in some way or the other. In some countries, the profits are not fully repatriable, Domestic currency is not convertible, and cess is levied on foreign exchange import for certain commodities. In these circumstances, lower transfer price allows the subsidy companies to import larger quantities of such material. Number three, fund accumulation. Due to political and economic risks, the holding company may not wish to park much of its funds in the subsidiary company, though transfer price funds may be bought into or out of a particular country. Number four, joint ventures. In case of joint venture, the economic interest of the joint venture partner has to be kept in mind while setting the transfer prices. The transfer price should not be detrimental to the economic interest of the joint venture partner. Control system design issues. In view of the above stated exposures, the control system, while evaluating performance, should be responsible to the following facts. Number one, subsidiary managers should not be held responsible for translation effects as these factors are beyond their control. The way out is to compare budget and actual results using the same parameters and isolate inflation related effects through variance analysis. Number two, transaction exposure is best handled through the parent company, keeping in view the overall hedging needs. Number three, the subsidiary managers should be held responsible for the dependence effects of exchange rates resulting from economic exposures. And number four, the decision to locate or relocate a subsidiary in a particular country should factor in the effects of translation, transaction, and economic exposure. Multinational corporations which own and operate business in multiple countries are important institutions of trade and commerce. Multinational corporations are similar to large domestic organizations in the sense that in both of these organizations there is a high degree of separation of ownership. The authority is delegated to a large number of decision makers, which are managers, and control is exercised through financial results. Now, management control of projects. When we mention project management, the natural picture that comes to your mind is that of construction of buildings, flyover, bridges, railway lines, roads, etc. While much can be learned from studying such everyday managers tackle smaller but no less important projects. The level may differ among the projects, but the underlying principles of delivering the results on time within specified cost and specification remains the same. Project management is no more about managing the sequences leading to completion of the project. It is about working backward and forward, where the needs of the customers are incorporated. Creation of a system for resolving trade-offs leading to prioritization of efforts. It involves working concurrently on all aspects of the project and working with cross-functional teams. It also involves working closely with other organizational units like manufacturing, logistics, new product development team, and marketing. The project management is not an isolated function, but requires high level of cooperation and coordination among various organizational units. Nature of projects. A project is a set of activities intended to accomplish a specified end result of sufficient importance to management. Projects are of varied type, ranging from simple to complex. Some examples of projects are construction of roads, railways, airport, etc. Change in plant layout, developing and marketing of new products, consulting engagements, audit, acquisition and diverse teachers, computerization of railway booking network, computerization of banks, installation of management information system, etc. A project can be defined as a non-repetitive activity which has the following characteristics. Is goal-oriented. It is undertaken with a particular end or goal in mind. Number two, it has a particular set constants, usually time and resources. Number three, the output of a project is measurable. The control environment. A project organization is a temporary organization which is disbanded after the completion of project. There are many variations in project organization's structure depending upon the nature of project, duration of the project, location of the project, nature of the company executing project, that is, whether the project is in-house or built for an outside agency. Depending upon these factors, the product organization would vary and hence the control system. The team members may be the employees of the sponsoring organization. They may be hired on a temporary basis for the purpose of the project, or some of them may be engaged under a contract with an outside organization. If the project is entirely handled by an outside organization, a formal working relationship should be established with the personnel of that organization, and both formal and informal means of communication should be developed. The flow of information between the two will depend upon the specifications laid down in the contract. Project planning. In the planning phase, the starting points are the rough estimates that were used to undertake the project. These rough estimates are refined into detailed specifications cost. In this phase, the management control system and underlying task control system are designed for the project. The planning process prepares a roadmap regarding how the activities of the project are going to be coordinated, how it is responsible for each task, and the time schedule for completion of each task. Process of project planning takes place at two levels. First one being the strategic tactical level, where the question is what. This is the tactical level plan which needs to be converted into how it is going to be carried out on operational level. Project execution. The results of the planning process act as a guidelines for project execution. The planning process results into specifying a specification of work package, a schedule, and a budget. And the manager who is responsible for each work package is identified. In the control process, the actual data regarding specification, schedule, and cost are completed with estimates. Both the sponsors and project managers are concerned with the question. Is the project going to be completed by the scheduled completion date? Number two, is the completed work going to meet the stated specifications? And number three, is the work going to be completed within the estimated duration? Mainly consists of two separate aspects of the project: an evaluation of performance in executing the project, and number two, an evaluation of the results obtained from the project. The former is undertaken shortly after the completion of the project, and the latter is a continuous process and more complex process. Developing organizations. Developing organizations are set up with a specific mission like eradication of poverty, elimination of widespread diseases like malaria, leprosy, AIDS, etc., spread of awareness of social messages, increase of certain socio-economic indicators like education. There are number of organizations like National Literacy Mission, District Rural Development Agency, Leprosy Eradication Mission, Khadi and Village Commission, etc. Management control system in development organization. Management controls are the organizational policies and procedures to reasonably ensure that number one, programs achieve their intended results. Number two, resources are used consistent with agency mission. Number three, free from waste, fraud, and mismanagement. Number four, all applicable laws and regulations are followed. Number five, reliable and timely information is obtained, maintained, reported, and used for decision making. Management control in SMEs. Management control implications in SMEs. If we analyze the peculiar characteristics of the SMEs, we can understand the needs or requirements of this particular sector. These requirements can be further subdivided into needs at a stage of startup stage, capital, customers, suppliers, employees, infrastructure management, skills and information and advice. The needs at the growth and expansion stage are ensuring resources, delegation and coordination, functional and centralized structure, maintaining control, new product development, product innovation, and market research. The needs at the maturity stage are expense control, increased productivity, niche market, product innovation, and formal system for objectives and budgets. In the light of the needs or requirements discussed above, the focus of the management control structure should be on the innovation, brands, customers and markets, supply chain efficiency, people, and reputation. Management control in knowledge organization like IGNO. The knowledge organizations are not an easy place to manage due to the shift in power balance. Knowledge workers technical field than their bosses and are much closer to the customers or the action area. For example, teachers are much close to the students. The impact of control is also diminished due to the fact that the primary production factor is creativity and innovation of the employee and not the tangible assets of the employee. Another factor which diminishes control is that in knowledge organizations, the employees are most of the time working on new problems of which no branch benchmark indicator of performance or cost is available. For example, a teacher is always developing new methods of teaching so that it may be beneficial to the students. And no branch benchmark indicator of performance or cost is available. The potential long-term benefits of knowledge management are revenue growth, enhancing competitive advantage, employee development, and innovation. Key number one, cost reduction. Number two, enhanced customer process. Key peculiar characteristics shifts from control creating an environment which facilitates flow between knowledge, knowledge flow from individuals to external structure, knowledge flow from external structure to individuals, knowledge flow from group competence to management structure, knowledge flow from management structure to individual competence, knowledge flow within external structure, knowledge flow from external to management structure, knowledge flow from management to external structure, and knowledge flow within management structure. Above mentioned areas, the management controlled structure should also focus on four critical pillars of knowledge economy, which are as follows: strengthening the economic and institutional regime. Without that, the flow of knowledge will not be possible. Developing educated and skilled workers. For example, in IGNO, it is necessary that not at the administrative level, but also they have to develop skilled teachers for delivering the knowledge. Number three, creating an efficient innovation system. And number four, building a dynamic information infrastructure. That's all. For the last time,